When Rocksteady announced their upcoming Suicide Squad game, they did so by uploading a poster of Superman with the Suicide Squad emblem on the back of his head as a crosshair. And they had the caption of target locked and then hashtag Suicide Squad game, and they then announced that they will be at the DC Fandom event on August 22nd. And as I've watched a lot of people get nervous about certain elements of this game, like the games as a service model, and I've seen a lot of people get really excited about the prospect of this next Rocksteady game, it's been interesting to see sort of the duality of people who are nervous for this game versus people who are very excited for this game. And I'm someone who I've told people, like, on a scale of 1 to 10 of how excited I am for this game, I'm currently at a 10. Until Rocksteady proves that there's going to be something to worry about with this game, I am all hands on deck, fully on board. I have full faith that Rocksteady will bring us a really great game. I personally don't think that the games as a service model will be very egregious, especially after Warner Brothers games had their terrible experience with Shadow of War. They kind of know that microtransactions don't fly, so I don't think that that will play too much of an issue into this game. I think that rather it will just allow them to continually update this game post-launch with new multiplayer content, potentially some DLC. So I don't think that it's going to be necessarily something to worry about until they show us that it's something to worry about. In regards to the other end of the spectrum, I've seen a lot of people get almost irrationally excited for a feature that I simply do not think will be in the game. First, let me just explain that I think that the Suicide Squad is the perfect IP for Rocksteady to tackle. Obviously, they want to try out some multiplayer mechanics. The Suicide Squad is a perfect team to do that with. And when it comes to the single-player gameplay as well, they will be able to have a direct evolution from Arkham Knight. They can advance the free-flow combat system, they can add dual-play mechanics, and potentially make it so that you're playing as 6 individuals instead of just 2 at a time. And I've kind of explained how that would work in past videos, where instead of Batmobile-assisted takedowns or combo takedowns, it would be other members of the Suicide Squad kind of standing off to the side a little bit, and you could call in, Killer Frost to freeze someone, or you could dual play switch between Harley Quinn and Deathstroke, and then you can call in a sniper shot from Deadshot when you get the combo meter filled. So I do think that it's very possible, and it could be really cool to take down a group of 20 dudes as 6 people, and I think that it would actually be a very interesting prospect of where with Batman, you just had so many different gadgets and abilities to take down different enemy types. It'd be interesting if the different enemy types required you to use different members of the Suicide Squad and be strategic in sort of a similar but very different way. I also feel that just the lethality that they were able to get away with in the Batman games can be improved, because Batman, of course, doesn't kill. But in Suicide Squad, you can add shooting mechanics for a character like Deadshot. They can also play around a lot with the tonality of the story, and apparently this is going to be a much funnier experience than the Arkham games, according to one of the writers on it. And I just feel that that's a really great direction for Rocksteady to move. What I will say is that the Suicide Squad inherently, while I still would have been excited, is also a bit of a hard sell when it comes to the mainstream audience, because we have the 2016 film, which has kind of tarnished the image of the Suicide Squad in the public's eye. While a lot of us comic fans still recognize that the team has a lot of potential, there are a lot of more mainstream fans who don't really even know that there is a Suicide Squad outside of the 2016 film. So this game, I think, will do wonders to improve that public view of this team, and I'm sure that the James Gunn film will, be better than the David Ayer film. Not because I necessarily think that David Ayer is a worse filmmaker, I just think that at that point, Warner Brothers was trying way too hard to appeal to the general audiences, and in doing so ended up alienating pretty much everybody instead. So I feel personally that this game will do very well, but I think that it will do even better because they have, again, confirmed the inclusion of the Justice League as the antagonists. We knew this from a purchasing of a domain, which was Suicide Squad kills the Justice League, which I'm sure will be the tagline. Instead of be the Batman, it will be kill the Justice League. When you market this game and show that there will be boss battles against Superman and the Flash and Wonder Woman, and that they will all play key factors in the story, I think that that really elevates this into a must-buy game. But what I've seen many people get kind of upset about is that this isn't a Superman game. Like, why aren't we getting a Superman game? And you look at Rocksteady's scale, and while I think that they do great with a Superman game, I also think it would take them like a decade to do it unless they hired like 500 more employees to work with them on it. Superman would just be such a huge game in scope, and this is why when people get really excited about the idea of playing as the Justice League in this game, I feel slightly less optimistic about that being the case. Now, I was on Slickmoff's stream the other night, and we were kind of talking about this exact thing. Someone asked it in the chat if we thought that we get to essentially play as characters like Superman or Wonder Woman or the Flash in this game. And I've seen people go so far as to say, maybe once we beat them as the Suicide Squad, we can have them join the team, or we can then play as them and free roam as them, and this will be a great Superman gaming experience. And my issue with this being a Justice League game in disguise is that if they had robust play styles for each of the Justice League members, this would be a Justice League game, not a Suicide Squad game, because Justice League, again, is much more marketable. The reason that they are the antagonists is both for to elevate the story, and I think that it's more interesting than just having a standard Suicide Squad story, but it's also for marketing. It's because they know that the Suicide Squad is kind of questionable if it would sell very well on its own, but having the Justice League in there really elevates that. And so I was kind of talking to Slickmoff about this, and I think that both of us pretty much agree that at the very least, we will not get to free roam as these characters. We won't see necessarily multiplayer scenarios where you can go PvP with Justice League versus the Suicide Squad. But one thing that we both kind of agree with is that even while this will be a great experience on its own, and that there's so much that they can evolve from the Arkham games and do, this will also be an interesting way to gauge what they can do going forward. Or in other words, they can prototype certain mechanics to see if they'll work in the future. So they will get to experiment with some more superpowered characters rather than just Batman, people with actual metahuman type abilities. They will also get to try out more team-based mechanics and some multiplayer mechanics, and they can also use the Justice League's involvement in this game to gauge interest to see which games they should make next. So, for example, if the Flash is a very popular character in this game, I think that it's very likely that then Warner Brothers could greenlight a Flash game, and same goes for Superman. And so we both Slickmoff and I kind of agreed that we could potentially see some prototype mechanics in this game, and his argument was, well, maybe they'll prototype some of the Justice League characters. So while both of us agree that you won't get to free roam as Superman or the Flash or have extensive gameplay with them, he was saying it's very possible to him that we could see like some very scripted sequences or just very limited exposure to playing as these characters, just to try out some of the gameplay systems and see if it works. Now, I do think that that's possible, and I actually entertained the idea of there potentially being a challenge map where you get to play as Superman, and maybe they'll give you like 3 to 5 minutes or something, and they'll get to see how many people you can take down as Superman in that amount of time. And I do think that there is potential for that. I also just don't know that even if they're workshopping some of these ideas, if they will put them in this game. And I certainly don't anticipate there being PvP multiplayer experiences where you're playing as the Justice League versus the Suicide Squad. I again feel like everyone would want to play as the Justice League. And that's really what we're seeing, is these people who really want these very refined Superman and Flash and Wonder Woman gameplay experiences. And while I do think that those are coming, and I do think that the Suicide Squad game will do wonders for helping craft a new DC gaming universe that is far more open than simply just, being pretty exclusive to Batman and Batman characters with a few references and Easter eggs to a wider DC universe. This game will full-on have all of these characters in the game, and so we'll get to see their character models, their designs, and as we go forward, and as they start green-lighting future games, and potentially even getting more studios in on it to help build this gaming universe, I do feel that there is a lot of potential going forward. Once again, I just don't think that we're going to see very much of a robust experience playing as Superman in the single-player story or even any of the multiplayer. I think if anything, we'll maybe see a challenge map for each Justice League character to play around in or something. But my biggest argument is that if they had tons of confidence in crafting open world and combat experiences for each of these Justice League members, we'd be getting a Justice League game. There's no reason that they would make it exclusively a Suicide Squad game, although I do see the arguments of it potentially being a good setup for a Justice League game, because it's an introduction to all of those characters. It will showcase all of their designs and abilities, and we'll get to fight them in their boss battles, and it will also be a great prototype to see if this type of team-based game where every character has very different mechanics can work. So I feel personally that this will be a really great game, but I just don't encourage getting irrationally excited about the prospect of playing as all the Justice League characters, especially before we've even seen what the game is. We don't even know what the roster of the Suicide Squad themselves are yet. So I'm personally really excited to play this game, and I, once again, have total faith in Rocksteady. I think this is going to be an absolute banger. And I'm just slightly less optimistic about some of those features that seem almost too good to be true. But anyways, thanks you guys so much for watching. Please be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and we'll see you guys in the next one.